Hey guys, welcome to Through the Bible Verse by Verse, a plain and simple study through the entire Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse. We are have started, and we will start it in the book of Numbers, the fourth book of the Bible, the fourth book of what's known as the books of Moses. And this book can be really best summarized with the wilderness journeys, because from this book we're going to see where Israel gets into trouble with the Lord, and then this will be why they will wander for the 40 years that they wander. In other words, the book of Numbers takes place for about 38 years. So we'll see some time jumps in there. And this book is really kind of condenses a lot of this 38-year journey, and it's some very powerful images. All right, so let's get in it. Chapter 1, which I almost started, but just did a little introduction. But verse 1, Numbers. Verse 1 says, "The Lord spoke to Moses in the tent of meetings in the wilderness of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year after Israel's departure from the land of Egypt." Now, so this is, as we have been moving through, we're able to track this timeline. The second year, meaning 1 year has passed. So they have been away from Egypt, out of Egypt, for a year. Of course, during that time, remember, a large part of it was establishing the worship, constructing the tabernacle. Okay, which is kind of interesting in and of itself, that the very first institution that God established in the nation was the place of worship. That's interesting. Okay, and so verse 2, it says, "Take a census of the entire Israelite community by their clans and their ancestral houses, counting the names of every male one by one." So this number, this census here, which is why they gave this book the title Numbers. But the census, of course, and God has given the reason why He wants this number. Now, this would be males. Females wasn't taken, weren't counted. That's just the way it was. And as we said, as we journey through the Old Testament, it's a man's world. Sorry to say, but, and that's of course because of sin. But I do digress. Verse 3 says, "You and Aaron are to register those who are 20 years old or more by their military divisions, everyone who can serve in Israel army." So they're counting the army, and we're going to see that when they get through, it's going to be like 600,000 able men to serve in their army. He said, "The man from each tribe is to be with you, each one head of his ancestral house. These are the names of the men who are to assist you." Now, that said, for some of these, I'm just going to glance over them. I'm not going to read all of them. But these are the names of the men who were to take the count, to assist. They were the sort of the heads, the leaders, elders of each tribe. And the tribes of Israel are described as really the descendants of the sons of Jacob. So Reuben, Simeon, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Gad, and Naphtali. These are the names or the heads of the tribes. Now, what is interesting is if you notice that Ephraim, now you see, like, let me count this here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 names are counted here, and then eventually another name is going to be dropped. Now, the name that's missing here is Levi, and we'll get to they're counting later because the Levi tribes are the tribes of the priests. What's added was Joseph's son. And if you remember back in Genesis, that Jacob had told Joseph that Ephraim and Manasseh would be counted as his sons. In other words, not even necessarily the descendants of Joseph, but as Jacob's son. And so here they're listed as part of the tribes. So, verse 16, these are the men called from the communities. They are leaders of the ancestral tribes, heads of Israel's clan. So this is, and then of course, they're going to do this census. You're able to track these names back to the sons of Israel. Verse 17, so Moses and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and they assembled the whole community on the first day of the second month. They recorded their ancestry by their clans and their ancestral houses, counting one by one the names of those 20 years old or more, just as the Lord had commanded, and he registered them in the wilderness of Sinai. So again, I'm just going to glance over them. So verse 20, from the descendants of Reuben, there were 46,500 men. Simeon had 59,300 men. Gad had 45,650 men. Judah had 74,600 men. Issachar had 54,400 men. Zebulun had 57,400 men. Joseph, and then notice that when it comes to Joseph, the descendants of Ephraim, 40,500 men. Manasseh, 200 men. Kind of interesting how he did Joseph, however, because remember, Manasseh and Ephraim were their descendants. Okay, they were his sons, so they were counted in a sense twice. Benjamin, 35,400 men. Dan, 62,700 men. Asher, 41,050 men. Naphtali, 53,400 men. And these are the men Moses and Aaron registered with the assistance of the 12 leaders of Israel. Each represented his ancestral house. So all the Israelites 20 years old or more, everyone who could serve in Israel's army, were registered by their ancestral duties. All those registered were 600,550 men. So these were the census. Now, verse 47, but the Levites were not registered with them by their ancestral tribe, for the Lord had told Moses, do not register or take a census of the tribe of Levi with the other Israelites. Appoint the Levites over the tabernacles of the testimony, all its furnishings and everything in it. They are to transport the tabernacle and all of its articles, take care of it, and camp around it. Whenever the tabernacle is to move, the Levites are to take it down, and whenever it is to stop at the campsite, the Levites are to set it up. Any unauthorized person who comes near it must be put to death. Now, this is going to be interesting here. Remember this when we get to David, when he tries to move the Ark of the Temple. Before the temple, actually it's the Ark of the Covenant, and right now it is kind of referred to as the Ark of the Tabernacle. It later could be referred to as the Ark of the Temple. Before the temple is built, the tabernacle was a portable temple, a portable place of worship, and he just now assigned all of the Levites, okay, the whole tribe of Levites, and we'll get to this in chapter 3, but the entire Levites were the priests. They were to take care of it. They were the ones who were to put their hands on the temple equipment, articles, the ark, everything. And like I say, remember this, because David will mess up when he tries to move. And there's going to be some stories when we get to Samuel where people who tried to move the ark are struck down dead. Okay, so God is saying that here. He said the Israelites are to camp by their military divisions, each man with his encampment and under his banner. The Levites are to camp around the tabernacle of the testimony and watch over it so that no wrath will fall on the Israelites community. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Okay, chapter 2. And it says, the Lord spoke to Moses, the Israelites are to camp under their respective banners besides the flags of the ancestral house. They are to camp around the tent of the meeting at a distance from it. So in other words, you would have the Levites, and then now he's going to cite all of the numbers that we just read again. Judah's and their tribe, excuse me, the Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Simeonites, Judites. All of these are the different military formations, okay? And then verse 17 says the tent of the meeting is to move out with the Levites and camp, which is in the middle of the camps. They are to move out just as the camps is to place their banners. Then it goes on with Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, all of these different tribes right here. And again, it gives the number again of the entire military, 603,553. But the Levites were not, verse 33, but the Levites were not registered among the Israelites, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now, we'll get to this in chapter 3 here. This is why. Then he goes on and says, these are the family records of Aaron and Moses at the time the Lord spoke with Moses at the Mount of Sinai. These are the names of Aaron's son, Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of Aaron's sons, appointed priests, who were ordained to serve as priests. But Nadab and Abihu died in the Lord's presence when they presented unauthorized fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no sons, so Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests under the direction of Aaron, their father. Now, Aaron was called by God, okay, as the priest. So you had Aaron and his sons, who would be the high priest. So the entire Levite tribe were priests. So the difference, and sometimes you'll hear that, you'll hear, for example, in the gospel, for example, in the parable of the Good Samaritan, where it says, a priest and Levi passed by. Here's the difference. The priests were the descendants of Aaron, and then the Levi, the priest, and then the Levi were the ministers, and we're going to see right here as God gives their duties. Verse 5, the Lord spoke to Moses, bring the tribe of Levi near and present them to Aaron the priest to assist them. So this is their, think of, you can have a journeyman and then you have an apprentice. But sometimes you have a position that's in the middle of a apprentice and journeyman. And that person was the one who assists the journeyman. Okay, the apprentices learn and trained under the journeyman, but this person, and it depends on their different designations. Now, me working in the trades, I kind of know because I work in there. But for example, if you ever watched the movie Titanic, and you see the boiler room scenes. By the way, that's my trade. But the boiler room scenes where the guys were shoveling the coal into the fire, and they were called firemen. Now they call them a couple other things, but power plant operators, things like that. The point is they assisted the journeyman. So the priests were to assist the Aaron's son. Now, verse 7. They are to perform the duties for him and their entire community before the tent of the meetings by attending to the service of the tabernacle. They have to take care of it, all of the furnishings of the tent of the meetings, and perform the duties for the Israelites by attending to the service of the tabernacle. Now remember, the tabernacle was the portable place of worship at that time. Verse 9, assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They have been assigned exclusively to him for the Israelites. You are to appoint Aaron and his sons to carry out their priestly responsibilities, but any unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary must be put to death. Verse 11, the Lord spoke to Moses, see, I have taken the Levites from the Israelites in place of every firstborn Israelite, excuse me, from the room. The Levites belong to me. Now, if you remember early on, God had called the firstborn. In other words, the original plan was the firstborn were to be the priest, every firstborn male. And then I told you at the time that God is going to switch that up. Now we're seeing where God is now switching that up. So it's not the firstborn. So the firstborn would have been, you would have had a firstborn male from every tribe serving as the priest. Now it is exclusively the tribe of Levites. So he says, see, I've taken the Levites from the Israelites in place of every firstborn Israelite from the womb. The Levites belong to me because every firstborn belongs to me. At the time I struck down every firstborn of the land of Egypt, I consecrated every firstborn in Israel to myself, both man and animal. They are mine. I am Yahweh. So now we see from now on, it will not be the firstborn who will serve as the priest, but only within the tribe of Levites. The Lord, verse 14, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, register by the Levites their ancestral house and their clans. You are to register every male 1 month old or more. So Moses registered them in obedience to the Lord as he had been commanded. So then he goes on, he's going to now, as you know, we saw the tribe before, but then these would be some of the heads or males of Levites, right? These were the Levite sons by name, and he goes on and lists all of these names. He even gives the number down in verse 22, 7,500, and then he goes on, and these are names, okay? So again, the chief, verse 32, the chief of the Levites were Eleazar, the son of the priest. He had the oversight, those responsible for the duties of the sanctuary. Later he would become the high priest after Aaron would die. We'll see that later. So again, just more names. And then this is also broken down to which kind of names do what kind of duties. So, for example, let me go back here. Look at verse 37. Verse 36, the assigned duties of Merari's descendants involve the tabernacles, supports, crossbars, posts, base, all this equipment, and all the work related to these, in addition to the posts surrounding the courtyard with these base, tent pegs, and ropes. So some of them even had very specific duties. Verse 38, Moses and Aaron and his sons, who performed the duties of the sanctuary as servants on the behalf of the Israelites, camped in front of the tabernacle on the east, in front of the tabernacle towards the sunrise. Any unauthorized person who came near it was to be put to death. And then he says, the total number of the Israelite males, 1 month old or more, that Moses and Aaron registered by their clans at the Lord's command was 22,000. Okay. The Lord told Moses, register every firstborn male of the Israelites 1 month or more and list their names. You are to take the Levites for me, I am Yahweh, in place of every firstborn among the Israelites and the Levites cattle, in every place of firstborn among the Israelites cattle. So Moses registered every firstborn male in Israel as the Lord's command. And the total number of the firstborn ones 1 month old or more listed was 22,000. thousands. The Lord spoke to Moses again, take the Levites in place of every firstborn among the Levites, and the Levites' cattle in the place of their cattle. The Levites belong to me. I am Yahweh. As the redemption price for the 273 firstborn Israelites who outnumber the Israelites. Collect 5 shekels. He goes on into this number. Then it says, so Moses collected the redemption money for those in excess of the ones by the Levites. He collected the money of the firstborn Israelites, 1365 shekels, and measured the standard shekel. Okay, and he gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons in obedience to the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded. All right, so that is the first 3, and we have more genealogies to. We have more genealogies to. We have more genealogies to cover in the next study, guys. So I'm kind of over time. All right, I'll see you guys in the next study.